Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The View for your countdown to kickoff for Leeds United versus Hull City, joined by Danny from the Not Another Leeds Podcast. And we do have something from Andrew Stats Dalton that we're going to play in a minute as well. So you can get Stats' opinion on the game. He's currently sitting in a gantry in Ellen Road getting himself ready for his commentary for today. So he has sent us in a video, so we'll cover off that. One thing to cover off quick. Gary, an hour late? Who's an hour late? What are you talking about? 45 minutes to kick off, man. Lee's in the house. How you doing, Lee? Stevie's there as well. And Teresa's there as well. Hello, how are we doing from the Southern Hemisphere? And J-Text, AO, let's go. He is on the bench today, so we might see him on the park. Let's get 3 points, absolutely. Danny, first things first, how have you been? And what were your thoughts on the transfer window as a whole as it wraps up last night?
I'm very good, thank you. Even though I look like I'm dressed for a Leeds United funeral, I do apologise. I didn't realise I'd be so darkened today. I just thought it was. I like the top, you see. So, but yeah, I personally, I think the windows have been as good as not as good as it can be, but it's been relatively good for me. Losing, I think we're more well-rounded for the Championship. That's what we are. We're a Championship club. That's what happens. It's nature of the beast, unfortunately. But seeing Solomon come in, Ramadzani, I'm excited about. And all the signings. Tanaka is good, especially when you watch videos by Lockie, he'll get you really up for it. Overall, I'd say it's a 6.5, and you got obviously keeping all the Nonto in itself is a bonus for me.
Yeah, well, Willie Nonto signed a new 4-year contract this morning for Leeds United. No exit clauses, they say. They say no exit clauses, so that's come from all the locals as well. So take them at their word until it turns out that there's an exit clause. But I would imagine there's a sweetener in the deal for Willie. I'd say it's a pay bump, and then if Leeds go up, it's a bigger pay bump again from trying to make him stick around. But glad that he's committing his future to Leeds United, and all the talk around exits can go away for a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see. The rest of the window, as has been said by Jonathan, a good, sensible lineup, but a good, sensible window from Leeds as well. Possibly without that cherry on top of the cake that we talked about last night. But we don't know if any of these players may end up being the cherry on top of the cake. There's a lot of players coming in that we just don't know what they're going to do in England or what their level is going to be when they come in. And we could very easily be surprised by what they bring to Leeds this season. Of the players that come in, you mentioned Tanaka. It's hard not to be excited about Tanaka when you watch Lockie's videos on Tanaka. He watches an awful lot of them and knows the player quite well. I'm excited to see him. One of them does get a start today, Danny, and it's Manor Solomon goes straight into the starting lineup to replace Dan James, which means Nonto will either operate on the right or in the 10, and then Aronson floating around. But your thoughts on Manor Solomon coming straight into the starting lineup?
I think it makes sense. From after watching various YouTube videos, I believe he's going to win us the Championship just on him alone, But let's not get carried away with a YouTube video. No, but I think he's quick. He's got a lot of pace and he can deliver the ball. And we know from the FA Cup, I think it was, that he can score a banger because he did it to us, didn't he? But it makes sense. Dan James, I think Dan James would have started had he not been injured. But now it's up to Dan James to get fit. And if Solomon plays good today, it's up to Dan James to, win the position back. But I'm excited by it. It's such an underrated signing that, as a player, not with the stuff that surrounds it. But I think if he stays fit, because that's the biggest thing that people have against him. He's had knee surgery in the past 18 months. But I think he's here to get his career back on track. That's why it's only a loan with no options and stuff.
Yeah.
And he stayed in the English game. So, we'll see what he's about today, I think. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll definitely get a good look at him today, and we'll see where he fits. But I think the gloss is taken off the Manor Solomon one because there's the fear there that there's an injury history and maybe you're getting a player who's a little bit crocked. But for all intents and purposes, they say that he's flying fit and ready to go. He's looked decent in training. He's knows the level. He's coming with a bag load of experience at a much, much higher level. And he's coming in his peak. He's supposed to be incredibly quick as well. So we'll get a really, really good look at him today. We've got some on the bench as well. I'll just take this one down real quick and I'll stick up the bench as well. It's a much stronger looking bench as well, Danny. And that's been a big piece for me this year and last year is like how good is Leeds United's bench? And it's not always been the strongest in the world, but I think it's starting very much. And again, Dan James is missing off of this, but I think it's very much starting to look like a much stronger bench if you Zoom in on the bench today. We've got one goalkeeper, which is a good start on the bench, not two. Darlow, Byram, Verber, De Bayo, Rothwell, Tanaka, Ramazani, Piru, and Gelhardt. It's not a bad looking bench, Danny.
No, it's healthier than last season, and the season before, and the season before. But you've got that. Add Dan James to that. You add Schmidt to that. I mean, that's a great bench. You know, you can genuinely look to the bench now, Farker, and think, right, Rothwell could scan and pass and thread that. Or Ampadu needs to slot into centre back, right? Tanaka on. You know, we need some more pace and creativity. You got Ramazani. Pirot, if you want someone that runs in jeans, Pirot, yeah, throw him on. Gellert, Joffrey, yeah, I think Joffrey is going to surprise a few people. I thought he was going to go out on loan, if I'm being honest with you. Had he got 10 in, Gellert would have gone, I think. But that being said, it's a lot healthier. But I get paid by Leeds United and Red Bull to say this type of thing.
We're dripping in Red Bull money, mate. Dripping in Red Bull money. That's what we
Why
all
do you
are.
think I've got all the fresh gear?
I'm still waiting on we check it. Any minute now. Any day now it's going to drop. What I like about the bench is you've got a goalkeeper to replace the goalkeeper. You've got a fullback who can replace either of the two fullbacks if you need. And as you said, Schmidt still to come in there as well. You've got two centre backs, but arguably a left back and a centre back as well. You can put in there. You've got two central midfielders that can change it up. You've got a wide man, a 10 or a 9, and then you've got Gelhardt as well who can play across the front four as well. So there's plenty of options there on the bench. It means if Farke needs to make a change, he's got options he can turn around and actually use them versus last season where half the bench was just Creswell, Gelhardt, Klassen, Cooper, Van der Heuvel. None of them getting on the park. Awesome. You know, you left with 4 players then. So we'll have to wait and see. As James says, Solomon stays fit. It's going to be an excellent sign for us as well. The stream said 115. Well, Gary, I apologize for being a complete idiot. That is definitely on me then if it says 115. But I will. Yeah. But we're here now and you came back, and that's all that matters. So we all move forward happy together. Yeah. How do you think today's going to go as a game, Danny? What do you want to see from Leeds today?
I'm confident. I do believe we'll win. I'm going to go. I want to say 2-0, but I'm hoping it's 17-0. But let's pull out the team that they were last season. They've lost Philogene, they've lost Greaves. They're brick in the wall at the back. But they've just signed a player that we were linked to. But I believe Bellumi, is it?
Bellumi, yeah. Bellumi didn't make the cut off today to make the squad, but they also signed Casey Palmer as well. Came in. I have PTSD from Casey Palmer.
Oh yeah.
Like during that before we got promoted, we were in the championship. And we had all those run-ins with Huddersfield, and we were under Chilino. Casey Palmer always seemed to be a player that popped up and scored against us. He's driving me nuts. He's in the team. I mean, their lineup without throwing it up is Pandor on goal, Louis Kyle right back. So Cody Drama, formerly of Leeds, is on the bench for Hull again. So that's worked out well so far. Louis Kyle's there. Alfie Jones centre back with McLaughlin. Ryan Giles left back. Oscar Zambrano in the holding. They've got O'Moore, who is a player to keep an eye on. He will be a dangerous player for them today. Slater, Metlem, and they've got Liam Miller as well, who will be up against Jaden Bolg. We know Liam Miller last year from Preston, and also a player we were linked to as well. And then Chris Bidea out up front. Bench looks decent. They've got Javier Simons on the bench. For a split second, I thought it was Javi Simons. Just for a split second, you look and go, how the hell did they get that one done?
No, but yeah, how did we miss that one?
Definitely not as strong as last year, Danny.
Oh, definitely not. You got your goals in Philogene, Greaves at the back, like I was saying, he was phenomenal. There's a reason why he's in the Premier League, albeit with Ipswich, but he could test himself there. And you got like is it Turfan or Tufan?
Tufan.
He's gone back to Tufan. He's gone back to Turkey. I thought he was okay. They've drawn 3 in a row, and from what I've seen from the Hull fans, they're not very happy. And it's a different system, it's a different manager as well. So hopefully we can get the win today, which I'm confident about, because on paper our squad seems to be a lot better.
Yeah, it does and has to be. I mean, there's of all the issues that we did have over the summer, the exits on paper, and again, as you say, on paper, because it is until we start seeing these players actually play together, we don't know what we're going to get from them, but we hope that they're going to replicate what they've brought in. I mean, again, going through the list of players, I'll throw this up real quick. We did this last night. But of the players that came in over the transfer window, Danny, there is a wealth of experience albeit in different divisions, but it's still there. I'll just throw this up real quick. Give me one sec. Get this on the screen. So you got Alex Cairns. Obviously, he knows us, and that's a box ticker pretty much for everything else. But then you go through it. Ramazani, experience in the Spanish league, did really, really well down there as well. Solomon, Champions League experience. Tanaka, Bundesliga experience. Joe Rodon was here last year, knows what it's all about. Alex Cairns knows Leeds, but ticks a box in terms of third choice keeper and homegrown player. Joe Rothwell knows what it's like to get out of this division. He's done it twice now, so he is there. You've got Schmidt, who comes in from the Swiss league. It's probably the only question mark, but Willie Nanto's adapted very well to England from the Swiss league, so you assume that's the same. And then you got Jaden Bogle, whose nose I've cropped off there. I'll just bring his nose back in. There you go, Jaden. Jaden Bogle, who I personally thought last week had a very good game after maybe an initial 5 minutes of a bit of a wobble, and then I thought he was fantastic for the rest of the game and seems to be starting to settle in. So there's a lot of experience that's come in that group of players. I mean, of them, we're only going to see one of them today. But you've got Ramazani and you'll have Tanaka on the bench as well. So we might get to see them. But there is experience, albeit not necessarily championship experience, Danny.
I agree. I mean, just to touch on Schmidt as well, I mean, he can finish a goal. He can score. We've seen that, and that's what we've been crying out for. But it's all at a certain level. Like you say, Nanto came when he first started, wow, we've got a wonder kid here. And I think that's what will happen with Schmidt, if I'm being honest with you. Ramazani, he's got obviously experience at youth level with that team across the Pennines. And it's not like he's played against Real Madrid, scored at the Bernabeu, with Almeria. Rothwell did it last season, albeit off the bench sometimes, scored a screamer. Like you say, mate, it is a wealth of experience. Joe Rodon, back to his passing ways today, hopefully.
It looked better last week. I mean, he did look better last week.
No, I agree. And I thought it was night and day Friday night's game. And let's think about this. Like we were the last team to beat Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough before Friday night. And we went and done it again. Not a lot of teams have won there. Now, they'd have been up for that. They know how much it means to them. And just to come away with a 2-0 win, thank you very much. The momentum graph shows, sort of, here and there, but I thought we were excellent. But touching on what you said about Bogle, I agree. Masaba, their striker, he was quite quick. But I think Bogle landed him really well after the first 8-10 minutes. But I agree. We're not Kamara, Rutter, Somerville, and Archie FC anymore, where it's individual talents in an 11, if you will. We've got a more balanced, experienced, covered team, championship team, aren't we? High end, in my opinion. I know I'll get slated for it, but I'm happy with the window.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying you'll get slated for it, but like I said, it was a very good window yesterday, and I got absolutely ripped apart on Twitter. Like, I didn't even use the Leeds hashtag, which I just don't use anymore, because if I do, it just invites an awful lot of people just to give me abuse. So I just don't use the hashtag anymore, and I stay in my own little puddle of people. And even if that somebody managed to find their way and doesn't follow me to have a moan at me about being delusional, I'm like, you're saying that with 0 games played by these players. Like, you're saying my opinion's delusional because I think it was a decent window, having not seen anybody play. And other people's, it's a disaster of a window, having not seen anybody play. So, I mean, we just don't know what we're going to get. I'm judging it off what I've seen them do in other divisions and what the feedback on the scout reports and all are on them, and they seem to be decent caliber players for decent prices. We'll have to see over the rest of the season if this turns out to be brilliant. I mean, Ramazani could be the player that replaces Creed perfectly. He could be exactly what fans are looking for. Do all the step overs, all the flicks and tricks. You might get the same from Solomon as well in a slightly different way as well. So you might end up with 2 players who at the end of this year, you're turning around talking about, well, they were brilliant first. And we could be in a situation of saying, oh, look, we got promoted and we don't have an option for Solomon. Why didn't we put an option in the contract to buy Solomon? So, it can change very quickly. People's opinions are very much based on the right 100%. Now and their opinions and what they see. So I don't know. I think there's a decent side there. We'll have to wait and see what happens over the rest of the season, but I think it's good enough to compete. And now I think the pressure's on Daniel Farke to go and actually deliver a team that can 100%. Win this league or get it up.
I agree, mate. Sorry. The pressure's on Farke. He needs to make his decisions quicker, more reactively. I don't want to see this 70 minutes winning 1-0 and going defensive, because that's what we like to do sometimes, where We'll go 1-0 behind, and then we'll score, and then we'll drop off. Just like mini games last season. He needs to be like, right, we need some energy. Ramadzani, you get Rothwell to drop in there. Tanaka, is going to win the ball. Cover Gruev, because Gruev's been getting a lot more forward, and I've got a feeling he might score today if he does get forward. But yeah, it's like people do like to catastrophize because they're like some people on social media. You know what they're like? They're like, "Well, I told you so." But they'd rather be right than back the team. That's just what social media is in a whole in itself. It's just a cesspit. But there's a reason why Not Another Leeds Podcast is on Twitter. We go on Twitter just to put a hazmat suit on and just to put the crazy things. So.
If I didn't have to be there, I wouldn't be there. Trust me. I just it was even a moment yesterday where, well, yeah, exactly, yeah, it really is. There was a moment yesterday where I just decided. I did it a couple of weeks ago after the Portsmouth game, where I just decided I'm leaving my phone and I'm going out for the evening. And I went out for the evening, had a great day, came home, great mood, everything was brilliant in the world. Yesterday, I was spending more time on Twitter than I probably needed to, and I decided about 2:00, right, that's that. I'm going to the beach with the dog. This is toxic. I'm getting sucked into this. I'm already starting to be negative. It can go away now, and I can go and spend a couple of hours with the dog on the beach. Did that, came back, felt in a much better place as well. The longer I spend on Twitter, the more I dislike everything about everything, because it's always negative. It's always, and I always say it's so easy to be negative. Just get up and don't make an arse. Don't be arsed with anything. Just get up and be negative. Trying to find positive things is an awful lot harder. And usually Leeds is it's even trickier again with Leeds to try and find positives. But I've seen people even have issues with Willie Gnonto signing a contract this morning, and all of a sudden everything on social media is, what's the negative? Oh, it's an exit clause. But and people will be the same way. They're on Twitter going, the club need to tell us things. The club need to tell us things. The club tell you there's no exit clause. Don't believe you. Don't believe you.
Yeah.
You're like, you're never happy. You're never happy, ever, with anything. Like, you've got a player who now has said, I'm staying. I'm signing a new deal and I'm going to stay here. And straight away you've got a portion going, where's the negative in this? How can I make this a negative story?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, there's something quite poetic about the one player that was trying to force a move last season has now signed a contract extension, and the ones we wanted to stay have left. So it is, it's quite beautiful. And if he scores today, it's perfectly poetic for me. And I don't know, I'll make a meme somewhat, because you know what I'm like. But yeah, it's, if you don't suit the narrative, then social media doesn't exist, as Joe would say. It's not real, because it's people just putting their catastrophizing and negative thoughts out there. And if you know what I'm like, I'd like to have a laugh. I put memes out for fun, and if they come for me, I'll just make a meme of them.
Be careful. You're not allowed to have fun on Twitter. It's not what it's there for. It's
there to burn things. I've too much. Sorry, everyone. I've got too much morale. I need to stamp that out. I'll just go stuff my toe against the wall.
Yeah, how dare you? I said it last night on Joe's show. I said, how dare I express my own opinion on my own Twitter with 0 hashtags used? How dare I step my foot out? Some of the stuff. It's like, I said it, the comment section on YouTube is always entertaining, but the last 2 weeks it's been unbelievable. But like this, when you go into YouTube Studio to do your comments, people who know, you'll know it, Danny, you've got your comments area to action. And then you have held for review, which are things that might have swear words or slightly offensive stuff, but they're not sure, so you review them. And then there's hidden comments, which is just the worst of the worst comments that you could possibly. And I click it once a month now, because you will feel horrible about yourself after reading the stuff that they write. But I spent 5-10 minutes in it the other day clearing it out, and I was just like, the names that I was caused. And people use asterisks now to bypass the filter, so they can get their, what they want to say to you will get to you without going through the filter. So they star out a lot of things. They're like, the amount of effort people have gone to be abusive just to try and annoy me. I kind of feel like it's like, well, fair play to you. You've worked really hard at that, but now I have to read it. So between the two of them this week and last week, it's just been a minefield of people who just want to shout. Somebody asked me, could they send me a DM, and then DM'd me a rant about how shit Daniel Farke was as a manager. And I'm like, why are you sending me this? Like, why am I getting this? What do you want me to do with this? Like, I thought you might find it interesting. Why? Like, I've always been a supporter of this guy. Why do you think I'd be interested in this? So people are just look, people are people. They'll always be the same. So
Yes.
it's a weird place.
Yes.
Before we get to predictions, Danny, and anything else, we didn't do the match preview yesterday, obviously, because it was the deadline day as well. But Stats has sent us in the video, so we'll cut to Stats now this morning, recorded video of the things to look out for today's game. So it's about 4 minutes. So, Danny, have a cup of tea. I'll see you in 4 minutes.
Good morning, Jay. Good morning, everybody. It's the morning after the night before the transfer window is done and dusted, and Leeds United know what they have to play with between now and the end of the year ahead of the January transfer window for 2025. It's a long way off yet, doesn't it? So lots of football to be going with, and obviously we've got Hull City coming up. I will come to that game very shortly. I think Leeds have done really well in the transfer window. Yeah, 10 would have been great. I think everybody can admit that, but I think some of the signs we made, I think Ramazani will be a bit of a hidden gem. I'm looking forward to seeing Solomon play, Schmidt as well, and Tanaka I think is versatile as well. So I think we've done really well the last week or so. Farke wanted 4, he got 4 in. Okay, it was always difficult to replace the calibre of players that we've lost, and it is difficult when you lose your likes of Archie Gray, Crescencio Samuel and Jorginho Ruta to the Premier League, but unfortunately that's been so we are in. I think the recruitment have done really, really well. Yeah, okay. The 10 is possibly the missing piece of the jigsaw. We've also woken up to the news this morning that Willie Nontes on a new 4-year deal, and he could be the key to unlocking a lot of Championship defences this season. So for me, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 for the transfer window, and I'm really pleased with the business that we've done. And now it's time to get down to the real business of winning football matches. We've had a solid, if not spectacular, start to the season. If you look back to the Portsmouth game, could have won, could have lost, could have drawn. We did draw. In the end, and had Brendan taken that chance late into stoppage time, we might have been sat there on the episode of the season with 3 points. The West Brom game was a superb defensive display, and I thought the tactics that Farke used were absolutely spot on. And then last week at Hillsborough, I thought brilliant start to finish. I never felt like we were going to lose that football match. I thought I was in full control of that game and deservedly got the goals through Brendan Aronson and Dan James. Also, no Dan James this afternoon for the visit of the Tigers as Leeds go in search of 3 consecutive home wins against the Tigers for the first time since December 2005. Be interesting to see changes that will be made, obviously, with Dan James picking up a knock during the week. For me, I'd like probably see Elijah Ramazani or Solomon possibly start in place of Dan James and then keep the rest as they are. I think Aronson had a really, really, really good game at Hillsborough and has had a really, really good start to the new campaign. I'm quietly confident now that the business is all done. We may even see Ramazani and Solomon, as I say, this afternoon, and Tanaka probably on the bench because he was signed in time. Schmidt will have to wait probably for the Burnley game in a couple of weeks' time. So, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it this afternoon. I think it's an opportunity to go into the international break on 8 points, which I think Daniel Farke always says he wants 2 points a game, and that'll be 2 points a game ahead of a really busy schedule. In September, there'll be a good opportunity to get a bit of confidence back. Certainly, Ellen Road, where we'll be looking for that first league win or first win at home. This season was a bit of a fortress, wasn't it, until sort of April last season. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory this afternoon. I'm quietly confident. I think we will see a debut for Ramazani in place of Dan James, and the rest will be as was. Basically, I think Solomon may be on the bench, and I think Tanaka may be on the bench as well. So, yeah, the sun is shining. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. We don't get too many of them. I'm a traditionalist for my 3 o'clock kickoffs. And let's go and get 3 points against the Tigers. We're on a bit of a strange start under new manager Tim Volta. They've drawn all 3 games and also been knocked out of the League Cup by Sheffield Wednesday. So, opportunity there for Leeds to get their first home 3 points of the season. And win 2008 in their history. So looking forward to it. It's Leeds United versus Hull City.
Yeah, we've got a new manager at Hull. An interesting start to the season for them as well. No wins yet. Scored 2, conceded 2, lost, knocked out in the cup. Not scoring huge amounts of goals, not conceding massive amounts of goals either. You've got to feel confident going into this game, Danny, yeah?
Surely off the back of that performance against the Owl Botherers, especially away as well. Now it's to batter the Tiger Botherers today. But, you know, it's a new team, new manager, new philosophy, new tactics. It's not gelled yet. Normally around the 10 to 15 game mark, you start to see the team's true identity for me in this league as well. But you know, they've lost in the cup, like I said, 3 draws. I've seen the reaction from the Hull fans. They're not happy. They're not happy at all. No one can blame us for being confident going into this game, because at the end of the day, every fan should back their own team, and I think we've got a really good team. We should win.
Yeah, we do, but we do. It's time to see if they can actually perform now, and if we saw last week is anything to go off, we should have a controlled game. I thought we beat Sheffield Wednesday in second gear. I don't think we ever really got out of second gear in that game. So it's nice to know we've got other levels to this, and we can pick this up if we need to as well. If we need to, the scores so far in the championship today was 3 early kickoffs. Burnley and Blackburn have drawn 1-1. Blackburn did have a player sent off in the 57th minute. So Burnley, against who had taken the lead with Lyle Foster, Jayden Anthony assist, by the way, for that one on his debut, but failed to break down Blackburn, who wouldn't be the strongest looking Blackburn team on paper either. But a 1-1 draw, which won't be a bad result for us. Middlesbrough beat Cardiff 2-0 away, and Norwich City away at Coventry 1-0 as well. So clubs that will be in the mix. Middlesbrough, I think, will be in the mix at the end of the year. Norwich will be thereabouts again. Burnley, you would expect to be up there, but not a great start by Burnley by any account at all there, Danny. They've expected to run away with it at the first game of the season. It's kind of all gone a bit flat since then. Kind of opposite to us, I suppose.
Yeah, I think everyone expected, you know, as we drop down Premier League money, Premier League players, half of them have gone. And they've not had the best start. They lost last week and they've drawn today. You know, they'll see that as points dropped. They have been ravaged to a certain extent. I saw like at least 5 players on their team today that were moved, were linked with moves away. And but you know, football's predictable up until the players get on the pitch, because all it takes is one moment to change the game. That's and you know, as a well versed in the knowledge of football, Joe. But you know, I think it's only good for us. Luton haven't done so well. I think Sunderland, whether it's just because of the first 3 games they don't know, they've lost the best player in Jack Clark. I think our signings in comparison to the rest of the league, I mean, I think there's only Ampadu in the team of the season that's still at the current club.
Yeah, that's it. He's the only one. Best are all gone.
All the best players that the other players voted for have gone. Gone. So it's Ampadu. But that's why you should be. It's not all negative. You should look towards the, you know, have a bit of, you know, Red Bull is a way forward.
It's never always great, and it's never always on fire. It's always somewhere in the middle.
Exactly.
We get good days and have bad days. We're not entitled to necessarily anything. We've got to work for it. We know that. So we'll see how it goes. But Danny, we'll start to wrap up. Folks in the chat, let me know your score predictions. How are you feeling about today's game? Where do you think this is all going to land? Danny, what's your thoughts on the game and score predictions as well? And who do you think is going to score?
I think we will start fast, energetic, and I'm going to go for 2-0. I would like to see Matteo get one today. Maybe, possibly Solomon, I think. You know, you never know, he might score a banger today. I'll go with Solomon and Joseph as my prediction. 2-0, and I think the first 10 minutes in typical Leeds style will be all over him. Hit the bar 3 times in a row. But I think it will be a good game. Yeah,
I'm thinking we concede, but I think it's 3-1. I think it's 3-1 to Leeds. And I think Aronson, Nonto, after signing his new contract, and Joseph will get off the mark today as well. There's a couple of stats just to keep an eye on for today. Leeds' last home win in the league came against Hull last season. I was at that game. Dan James scored from inside the halfway line. And Leeds have won 5 of their last 7 home league games against Hull. Hull have won 1 in their last 10 matches against Leeds in all competitions. And Leeds are without a win in their last 4 games at Ellen Road after making it a fortress last year. We need to get back to winning ways at Ellen Road, and that could happen today. And in just 3 appearances, Brendan Aronson has already equaled his goal return from last season and the season before combined between Leeds United and Union Berlin. Should be said, Union Berlin without Brendan Aronson, top of the league. But he's been cracking for us. I'm not going to take the piss out of him. He's been brilliant for us so far. He's done excellently so far. 2 goals, 2 assists already doing exactly what he needs to do to get the redemption, and fingers crossed that continues. A couple of score predictions. Ricky says 5-0. Joseph will at least 2, a couple 3-1. Nanto scores first of the new signings, and going to be Ampadu. Absolutely bargains. Just watch. 3-0 from Stephen Whitley. Good. Who do you think's going to score, Stephen? That'd be interesting to see as well. Don't care who scores. I'll take a 1-0, but prefer 4-1 from Herbert. Lictastic 2-3 -1 leads. I'm not even sure what that means. Is that 2/3 -1 leads, or is that 2 or 3-1 to Leeds? Which I think it probably is. Yeah, you already said that. It's my fault. 2-1 says Charlie, and JTEX, Joseph and Solomon. Pascal 3-1. It'll be another Pascal header off the crossbar, bounce back, hit his shoulder, go in the back of the net.
I was just about to say that. Whenever he scores, it's never off his head. You know what I mean? It's off
his head's involved somewhere, but it's never the final touch off his head. Like head, something, bang, 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 poof, goal. Yay. Yeah, run up, celebrate. Exactly, yeah. Show yourself. Pascal 90th-minute penalty. He's a good penalty taker. I'm never comfortable seeing a centre back lining up for a penalty, and I'm never comfortable seeing a left footer lining up for a penalty. So when I see a left footed centre back, it must just cancel each other out, and it makes him really, really good at it, but never overly confident. Danny, anything you want to plug or let everyone know a bit before we wrap up?
Yeah, if for you that don't know me, I am the host, you could say, or the lead mental person of Not Another Leeds Podcast. We did a podcast last night, if you want to go check that out. And we've got Sunday Club on Sunday with me, Kev, and James, where it's a lot more chilled and just sort of straight talking. Friday night it's just like a game show. I mean, Joe will attest to that. He's been on multiple times, and he's still got his sanity, which means I'm not doing my job properly.
Just about. There, mate. I should also say the new podcast intro as well was made by Danny as well. So massive props to Danny for helping me out with that as well. Give me something new for this season. Pleasure. So appreciate that, mate. As
they say in Australia, no worries, mate.
No worries, mate. I'll get this straight.
No worries, mate.
No worries, mate. All right, folks. Listen, have a great rest of your day. Finger crossed for 3 points. I will be back on Monday for your Leeds news, and Monday night then for the match day review, probably with Jerry McNamee and Stats or Lucky, if I can arrange that between now and then. Enjoy your weekend. Let's get 3 points. Make it a good Sunday for everybody else, and I'll see you next week. Peace out. Be good. Bye.